We've shown you the schedule for Ole Miss for 2021. Now we're going to give you a projected record based off of that schedule. And I want to make it clear that this is not an official prediction. This is simply a projection based off of that schedule. So here again is the schedule. They were 5-5 last year. I think their record will be better. But keep in mind, that was an all SEC schedule outside of the game against Indiana. So if you go 500 in SEC play again and go 4-4, win your non-conference games, that's 8-4. That's still a pretty good year. And I think they have a chance to maybe do better than 4-4 in the SEC. We'll see how it plays out. But again, when we do these projections, we just kind of group teams together, and we are grouping them and making these assessments based off of what happened last year, how teams finished last year, how teams played in head-to-head matchups last year, and then what they have coming back. So it's just simply a conservative approach to this, grouping teams together and giving you a projection based on how tough this schedule is. This is a scale that we use. If it's in white, it's a 50-50 game. Less than 10% will be in red, 10-25 in orange, 26-40 in yellow, 60-74 in purple, 75-90 in blue. Less than 90% is going to be, or more than 90%, I should say, is going to be in green. And that's where we start. We start with the green games. Only one here. I think Austin Peay is a game that Ole Miss should be favored by a lot, 20-plus points. They have more than a 90% chance to win that game. That's really the only easy win. But I think there are more games that fit into this blue category where they're going to be favored by double digits, and it would be a pretty big surprise if they lost, including a couple of SEC games, and that is Tennessee and Vanderbilt. I think Ole Miss clearly will be a better team than both of those. Tennessee on the road, I know you could say, well, you can't put that in this category. Yeah, it's closer to 75% than it is to 90%. But again, with Tennessee, you're talking about a team, a roster that is losing a ton. I mean, their transfer portal got blown up, like 20-plus guys leaving, plus a new coaching staff. Tennessee's not going to be very good unless they surprise us all. And Vanderbilt, of course, they're not going to be very good either. And Tulane is a quality group of 5 team, but Ole Miss should be able to take care of business in that one. So you've got 3 games here in the blue where Ole Miss should be able to win. 4 games that will be counted as wins when we do this projection here in just a second. So now we go to the purple games, the games that are between 60 and 74%. And these are games where I think Ole Miss will be favored by about a touchdown, 6, 7, 8 points, somewhere in there. And I understand, again, that these games are not all the same. Some are closer to 74, some are closer to 60, but I am putting these games in this category. I've got Louisville and Liberty, only 2 of these games. They're both non-conference games. Based off of where they finished last year, Ole Miss should be better than Louisville this year. It's a neutral field game. I think Louisville has potential to be better this year, and this could be closer to a 50-50 game, but again, just kind of the formula that we use for this, based off of where the teams finished last year, Ole Miss should have a slight advantage in that game. And with Liberty, I think you can make an argument that if you're going based off of where they finished last year, Liberty should actually be favored. But I'm just looking at the overall talent. Ole Miss still a more talented team. They're playing at home. I think they'll be favored by 6 or 7 points in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a 50-50 game. It's going to be interesting to see just how good Liberty is again this year. They had a great year last year. Was it a one-hit wonder? Will they be able to do it again? I just don't know. And at this point, I think it's kind of hard to say. They do have a lot of production coming back, so maybe I'm underestimating Liberty here. Maybe they should be. This should be a 50-50 game. But I think at the end of the day, when I did the numbers here, it wouldn't really matter. If this was a 50-50 game, the projection would be the same. So keep that in mind. Those are the games I think they'll be favored at least by a little bit in. Now we go to the games where I think they're going to be underdogs. And this is tough for me. But I'm going to put 3 games in this category. Now, Alabama, I think, is close to 26%. I think Alabama is still a clear favorite in this game. LSU and A&M, those are the tough ones for me because I think they're closer to 40%. And they're right on that range of maybe being 50-50 games. But I just have to look at where A&M finished last year, finished ahead of Ole Miss. The fact that LSU beat Ole Miss last year, and they have a lot coming back. I mean, their returning production is way up there. So when you factor in those things, I think we can put these in yellow. But again, they're so close. They're so close. So maybe you put A&M in the white and you drop Liberty into the white. That would actually cancel out. So again, it's a rough estimate here. We're just going conservative here. I don't really know exactly how these games are going to play out. And again, these This is a tough one. Ole Miss is a tough one to figure out where to put these games, but this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to say that they'll be slight underdogs, I should say, against LSU and A&M, and Alabama maybe a little bit more. You know, maybe Alabama should even be in the orange here. But I just look back to last year and how tough Ole Miss played them, and the fact that it's early in the year after the bye week, Alabama loses a lot of production. I think Ole Miss has a shot. So then after that, we have 3 50-50 games. Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State. I think all 3 of these games could go either way. I'd probably favor Auburn by a slight margin because that game is in Jordan-Hare. Probably favor Ole Miss against Arkansas because they're at home. And then Mississippi State's really a game where I'd probably favor Ole Miss. I just think they're going to be the better team. But these are all close, and I think they could be in this 50-50 range. I believe all of these games were close last year, and there's no reason to expect one team to be a clear favorite or favored by a lot in these 3 matchups. So we look at this. We count the blue and the green as wins, and then we average the rest of these games out. Louisville and Liberty, those will be counted as 60% in the games in white, 50% in the games in yellow, 40%. And like I said, with this schedule, I mean, I would be okay if you wanted to put Louisville, LSU, Liberty, and Texas A&M all in the white, because I think it's close to being in that range. I think there are just a lot of 50-50 games, a lot of games that could go either way. So how will they perform in those games? We've got 8 of those games that are considered, but games that could go either way. Not necessarily 50-50 games, but games that are in yellow, white, or purple. And if you average it out and do the math, they would split those games. They would go 8-4. They would split those 8 games, go 4-4 in those 8 games, and they would finish 8-4. Now, which games do they win? Which games do they lose? That's going to determine where they finish in the SEC standings, because if you beat Louisville and Liberty, that means you're going to lose, 6 games? Or not 6 games, but 4 games in the SEC. But if you, let's say, lose to Liberty, then you could have a better SEC record and still have that 8-4 projection. So that's interesting to look at. But again, the projection here for Ole Miss, 8-4. I think that's a fair projection. This is a team that I really like. I just think they're going to be good. And again, this is not an official prediction. I think they're going to be good. I think the schedule really sets up well for them. I don't think they're going to do worse than 8-4. I'll just go ahead and tell you right now. I think this team, worst case scenario for me is probably 7-5, but I think they could get to 9-3. I don't know if they get to 10-2, but it's possible if things go their way. Again, with a chance to win really every game on your schedule, it could be a really special year for Ole Miss, or maybe it's not. Maybe they are a little bit of a fluke last year. That Indiana game was a little bit of a fluke. Maybe Lane Kiffin still has work to do. Maybe they're not quite there yet. Time will tell, but this is a team, the more I look at them, the more I like, and I think they have a chance to be to make some noise in the SEC this year. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think they'll be better or worse than 8-4? Give me your prediction. Give me your thoughts, your projection, I should say, down in the comments below. And thank you for watching this video.